Hi guys, welcome back to my channel. How are you all doing? I hope you're fine and well. Welcome back to another podcast episode. Today's podcast episode, I'm joined by two amazing people. I know you have been seeing the vlogs now for over a month. I've got a lot of message from you guys saying this and that and that. I finally have them on the podcast episode. I'm going to give them an opportunity for each of them to introduce themselves to you. Yes.
Greetings, everyone. Thank you, Tanya, for inviting us on to the podcast, for being an instrumental part of this journey. I am Nephara Lawton, and I'm from Growing Folks. We're from the States, United States of America, New Jersey.
Okay, so this is Nephara, as you have heard, and
hi, my name is Hasir Lawton. So also obviously from the States. My wife and I, we're co-founders of Growing Folks Farm, Growing Folks brand. I'm also a musician and a visual artist and a communications director. And we're both community activists.
Yes, so guys, as you have heard, I have such important people today on the episode. We are going to be discussing quite a lot of things, so just get comfortable, get something to drink, get something to eat, just chill in because it's about to go down. If this is the first time you're watching me here, make it the point that you subscribe, you like, you comment, and turn on the notification bell. It helps to push the video a little bit further. Yes. So let's start from the start. Back, I believe in, was it January? Yes. So I did get a message from Nephara. It was an email, actually. Yes. And in that email, you were actually telling me that you are coming over with your husband for the first time. It's going to be one of those pilgrimage-like journeys and all that. It took me some time to see the message, but after I saw the comment that you had left a message, I actually checked and we connected right away, guys. Yes, we connected right away. So today's podcast episode, I have my notes actually prepared. I want to just dive in so that you guys, I don't keep on only speaking. I give an opportunity to speak. The first thing I would love to, and actually for the episode, or for this podcast episode, feel free to just go in and share and all that. The first question is, what inspired you guys to come to Uganda? Or what inspired you in the first place to come back to Africa? Because Uganda is in Africa. Yes.
Well, the journey has been a long one for the both of us. Started some time ago. I think it's like a lot of people in the continent, all over the diaspora, they have this yearning of connection piece. So I guess we were doing our African ancestry, our African DNA, and we were looking at our lineage. I also have a professor who retired in undergrad who moved to Uganda.
By the way, actually, you told me that.
And we lost contact with him in 2015, but I believe that he may still very well be here because he retired here. And he was a very stickler for order, and he had such a standard about himself. We had a lot of respect for him. So I felt that as he would retire here, that this is a place that's good and safe to go to in terms of a place for Africans to reconnect with the motherland and also the people, this being the pearl of Africa. So that inspired us to come initially. And then I saw your videos when I did a search looking for YouTubers, information about Uganda, about what it would be like to live here, cost of living, business. And I came about your vlogs. And I've just been watching ever since. I've been riveted. Your amazing content has really inspired us. We also met another young lady on TikTok who also has some great content that we have been following. And that just was like, let's just take our trip.
Okay. So, Hasir, do you have anything to add on that? What actually inspired you to come to Uganda or to Africa generally?
Well, I mean, like, of course, all she said is part of the journey. She does a lot of the research work, and we were on YouTube a lot, so like that part was understandable. But also, really, our wedding itself, we had a very it was an African-centered focus, and really Black-owned, Black-focused, African-focused wedding. So from the jump, and even in our union, it was an opportunity for us to dive deep into who we are. And the wedding was before our ancestry. It was just like, how do we get back home? And this was our place to start. Was we started in our union of love, and then creating community and African village within the places that we already lived in the States. So it was an opportunity for us to try our own way of getting connected, and start the conversation really deeply of we need to really find a way to get home.
Yes.
So that was, to me, that was a pinnacle part, especially for my conversation, for us to get closer to Africa.
Yes.
So yeah, and this was a great journey to start.
As you have heard, that is beautifully articulated and spoken out. I'm always touched by people who are always looking for different ways to come back to their own wholeness or their own best selves, And when I read that email, I knew it as a matter of fact that we are just connected. By any chance, we shall just meet up, and it will just be amazing, and we have been able to live the experience here, and I'm so happy and glad about that.
Yes.
Then the other thing I would love you guys to ask you is that how was your trip? Before I actually go to that question, how was your trip? Take me through the planning of this trip. Like how many years? It might be months, I don't know. Take me back, how was the planning generally to the last day you said now this is the time to board the plane to fly to Africa? Yes.
Well, for us, we've both been on this journey of our finding our way home. I actually wrote a poem that came to life in 2015, but it had been sitting in my spirit for over 15 years, finding my way home. So I have a poem called Finding My Way Home in one of the books that I've written for poetry. That was this yearning and this experience of being with the acceptance of being like wholeness. So when you said that journey of becoming whole, that is like a pinnacle piece. But this trip that actually was the one that we getting on the plane came to be because we had been waiting with friendships and network and we'll take you with us, or you can travel with us, or you can join this group, or you can join that group. We saw so many trips to Africa, pilgrimages, whatever they want to call them.
Not over the past few years.
And over the past few years, most of those trips cost $4,500 per person. Generally does not include airfare. They are 8 to 10 days. They are rush trips, just very packed, trying to do so much. And my energy doesn't really operate that way. I need time to process and take in things and take it in small bites so that I can spiritually and emotionally be with the experience. As well as cost, that didn't really work for us. We're a family. $4,500 per person.
Ooh, that is 9,000.
That's a lot of money. But it would have been three of us. It would have been three of us initially coming. Then it became our family. As our family grew, it became four of us coming as our family grew. And that was just way about, beyond our price point. Even saving and just life living and things like that. The relationships never panned out in terms of, you can come with us, or we'll take you, or you can come, or travel with us. It didn't work out. So this trip came, an opportunity was set in front of us, and I said, you know what, babe, let's just get our tickets. So, boom, then Hassia booked the tickets.
We are talking how many, within that period of time, what is the... how many years or months?
12.
12 months.
For me, it's been 12 years.
12 years. Oh,
together,
12 years.
It's been 9 years.
9 years.
Together, it's been 9 years. Relationship networking, building, relationship networking, building. And then oftentimes there was somewhat of a lack of reciprocity or follow through, or people having their own life circumstances. Maybe things didn't pan out. Timing didn't work out. Or maybe they said, I'm going to go in March, and then things don't go together. And then we are not, so we decided that, you know what?
Finally, it's the time.
We're going to take our trip.
Yeah, the opportunity came at the beginning of the year. We were like, we're very much believers of alignment and whatever the situation is. If something is meant to happen, it's meant to happen. And, we also take in consideration that within these years, and maybe those years or those times we wanted to, just wasn't the time. And this we received a prime opportunity to say, you know what, this was the time. And January came along, an opportunity came for us to book the tickets. We booked the tickets, and from there it was history.
You can just say that everything was working in harmony.
Everything was exactly in harmony. We're very big on harmony. If anybody knows, there's always a conversation of
balance
harmony with everything that happened. So it was a very harmonious way in which it happened. And then, of course, we did our research around the processes, what we would need, our visas, and we chose to get the East Africa visa, which allowed us opportunity to move around, East Africa for about 3 months or so, because we wanted to figure, well, if we can get this visa, we have the opportunity, and it's easier to travel in the continent than if it was like we were to go to Uganda, come back home, and then let's go to another African country. That's tons of money.
Yeah, that's a lot of money.
So we figured it makes more sense for us to travel in continent. So we was like, we might as well, book an East Africa visa. Go to Kenya, go to Rwanda, and just kind of and get the full experience in 3 countries, and take the time, take the opportunity to use that month long, because like as Beth pointed out, you can't take in, and we've known this from anybody who travels, like you can't take in wherever you are for just like a week or 2 weeks.
These are tips, guys.
If you're going to travel, for anybody in the US or wherever you're going to travel into another country, another continent, then be immersed in the experience. For us, it was very much, again, we speak about it as a pilgrimage trip, which means it was an opportunity to be immersed in the experience. This wasn't necessarily vacation for us. Partly I'm working remote as well, so it's a mix of like downtime and also continuing my responsibilities from the States. But really, it was a chance for us to be present with being in the continent. This is our first visit, our first time, and we're very much about energy. So as being on the soil was like soaking it in. And the month was just a perfect opportunity to take that time and be immersed in the process. So.
Very, very absolutely true. As you guys have heard, they have been here for a whole month.
Yes.
And as we continue through our conversations, right now we are going to be taking a short break. But as we come back, they are going to be taking us through their experience on the plane, and the first day they arrived on the ground, the African soil. Welcome back to the second, part of this podcast. As we enter into this particular part or segment, I'm going to start up from where we did live. Tell us about, the experience on the plane and the first time you arrived on land here. Yes, how was the experience on land? Were you excited? Were you nervous?
So, we needed to stay for the month. So that was a part of the whole spiritual journey. So getting off the plane, I was still kind of anxious and like a little, I don't know. I guess I wasn't necessarily scared. I think I was relieved to be back on land. 1, 2, it was very warm. It felt still when I got off. It was raining cats and dogs. So I was a lot concerned about driving. I was like, oh my God, we got to get our car, or our car's going to find us. So that kind of came to mind. We went after we passed through the immigration office and our documents and that process. I mean, I would say it was pretty efficient. It took a little bit longer than I had thought it would, but
it was good.
It was efficient.
Yes.
It was finished. It was good. We stamped through, and then we came through the gates and picked up our luggage.
Yeah. Yes. So Hesiri earlier on talked about the visas.
Yes.
Can you take me through some of the requirements you needed to come here?
Yes. So as I mentioned, one of the requirements was to get a visa, and we chose again the East Africa visa. Give us 3 months. I mean, it was only a month, but it gives us that leeway to move about as we please through the other East African countries we wanted to go to. So the visa was important. We did require at the time PCR test. So that was a piece that was needed to get into the country, especially coming from the US.
Yeah.
What else did we need? We had to take the yellow fever shot.
Yeah.
So we had to take the yellow fever vaccine, which is a requirement to come in to Uganda. Luckily, it's once. You take it once, and that's it. You're good.
You get your card, and it's done.
You get your card, and it's done. It's a lifetime vaccination, so it was fine. It was very easy. It was a very simple prick, and then you very rarely is there any issues after that.
Well, I mean, I guess the shot itself was easy, but finding a place to get the shot was a problem.
Yeah, that's true.
It took me almost 2 weeks.
Not only to get it, but an affordable place. But yes,
2 weeks. 2 weeks of calling around. There's still a lot of hiccups around offices not being open. Then there was no vaccine shots because predominantly getting yellow fever is going to a tropical place.
Yeah.
And there's still all kinds of things happening with...
Some people are not certain with the information.
Right. Yeah. And then the cost was exorbitant. It was like almost $500 per person for the shot.
Yeah.
And then we finally we got in touch with our doctor, who we love so much, our general PCP, Dr. Jean. We love her so much. She's been with our family for many years. And she said, well, I advise that you get the yellow fever. And she referred us out. So she referred us out to a doctor who we paid less than half.
That was amazing.
For both jobs.
That
We
was
paid less
amazing.
than half of the $500 for both jobs. And it was an initial in and out, no problem. We made the appointment. One day we went, the next day did our appointment, and we were done.
Yes.
Yeah, that's
It was really
amazing. That's amazing, guys.
Absolutely, yes.
Because
Harmony.
yeah, that is harmony indeed.
Yes.
Because when I tell you here, those yellow fever shots are actually very free. But you'll find that
Very free.
Very free.
They are free when you
Free,
go
they trying to get 500 USD.
Yeah, when you go to all these particular health centers here in the city center, they are very free.
Wow.
But I'm going to tell you that not a lot of Ugandans have them, even me inclusive. I've never got the yellow fever shot.
But that's what we've
You
heard
know?
too as well. That it's not necessarily needed or necessary. But you know, for the U.S. and it's kind of like, oh, if you're traveling, take all these things. So it's like
They're trying
it's
to
a
scare
big.
people,
It's a lot of. It tends to be a lot of fear mongering, especially when it comes to coming to Africa. There's a lot of that fear mongering conversation. So, but you know, by recommendation, our PCP, she was amazing, and she was like, here's a good space, you can at least get it. And like we said, you get it, and it was that was that. It was good.
And it's done.
It was done. Like
We
so we
had
have to do it again.
no follow-up, no repercussions,
No nothing. The process of planning, I guess, again, a first-time trip out of the country, not only out of the country, but out of the continent,
Out
to
of
another
the
continent.
yeah.
It was a very, for us, it was a very harmonious process of just, what do we need? How do we get it? And also to get the visa, you're able to get it on the Ugandan immigration website. Do everything digitally, you pay online, and we got it says 10 days, 8 to 10 days, business days, but we were able, once we filled out everything appropriately, made the payment, we got our visa in about 24 hours, maybe less than that.
That was so good.
So first I went online and got the information, called the embassy.
Yes.
So
Yeah,
it's
the
always
embassy,
good relationship building, treating things like African consciousness and the way you make decisions based on thinking African is a difficult experience for many people who don't try. So relationships is important. Touch, physical touch, frequency, and checking in is always a thing when it comes to like being intimate in relationship with African people, period. And it's also nourishing for us. So I called the Ugandan embassy, made contact with the gentleman who I asked all the questions I needed to ask. He assured me the process is no longer in person. You don't need to come in. The process is online. Do it online. Then call me back when you finish. Give me the number, and I will follow through. Well, when we woke up that morning, his came through right away. Mine's came that afternoon. I called him and said, hey, so my husband's came. This is my number. And within 3 hours, mine's came through. And that wasn't even 24 hours.
Yeah, it was less. What was the cost of the visas? Were they cost attached?
They were $100 each.
It's $100 each.
100 USD each.
Yes.
Because
for that particular
because it was
visa.
East Africa, right? Because
East
if we
African
had gotten
visa,
the Ugandan, it would have been $50.
Oh.
But the three countries, Rwanda, Kenya,
Tanzania,
Tanzania, and
Rwanda,
Rwanda.
are in the East African partnership. So that visa.
And particularly for us, so we wanted to make it clear, like with us planning this, we wanted to make it possible for people to like. It doesn't have to be this extravagant experience of just like you have to get all, you have to X amount of. But we budgeted accordingly to what we knew we wanted to do, which is why we also said we wanted to visit the other countries. We figured, okay, knowing how we, as two working folks, we were like, we can use that month's time, budget accordingly to visit each of these places and still get a full experience in 3 African countries within a month's time, and just kind of just be with that without it having to really, break a bank or do anything too crazy beforehand. Other than just being with ourselves and what we had in our hands. So.
Yeah, that is actually beautifully also, said out. And I think we have been able also to answer the fourth question, which was, why did you have to stay a whole month? Okay, maybe partly because the first thing, as you have said, that you wanted to visit more places, but there might be other reasons why you had to stay for a whole month. Yeah.
For me, I was actually recovering. I'm still in recovery from surgery a couple of months ago, and I just wanted to make sure that we had the time for me to feel how I needed to feel. If I was going to go through any changes, if I was going to feel any kind of way, I didn't want to say, oh, we taking a 10-day trip, but then I don't feel good the second day I get here, and then I'm not feeling good for 4 days.
And then you missed the whole trip.
And then we missed the whole trip, and I'm not feeling well.
So
I needed my body to physically, because that happened to us when we went to Texas one year. I was a 4-day trip, and I ended up sick for 2.5 of those 4 days. Only got out of the hotel one day. So I wanted to say, in case if anything happens, try to be as proactive as possible, knowing myself and my various changes and allergies and sinuses. And they say, oh, your body's not going to agree with the food, the water, the this or that. So all that I was...
My body definitely agreed with the food.
My body in Uganda was a yes on the food tip. And y'all going to see the videos of all the delicious food that we have had since we've been here. I had some kickback when we went to Kenya, though. For some reason, I wasn't. My stomach didn't. Yeah, it was not good in Kenya. I don't know what happened. The food I thought was good anyway. It didn't taste bad. It tasted good. But my stomach didn't agree with it. So that week spent in Kenya.
Yeah.
You know, we had an opportunity to go out twice and experience. But other than that, we stayed in the hotel room. Right. So physically, it's good to do it. Mentally, it's good to do it. Emotionally and energetically, it's good to just have that time to just be. Yeah. And not have to worry about the angst. Because me, I get the angst. So I practice. I plan ahead for my angst, for the adjustment period, for the possibilities of, they said sometimes you can get a little, like a season change sickness. Yeah. Like you go from cold to hot, and then you may catch a fever for 24-hour fever or something like that. So I just wanted to make an opportunity to have, just for proactive possibilities. Who knows?
Yeah. And we didn't really experience any of that, thankfully. Like I said, not everybody, not one size fits all, but for us personally, thankfully, we didn't get to experience any of that. We were able to kind of really absorb the trip in our full health, and then which is a blessing. Because I'll get sick from season changes back in the States, if it gets from 50 degrees to 90 degrees too quick. So for the time we've spent here, with our health is, has been graciously in a good space. And within the trip, I don't know if this is part of another segment, but we've been able to spend more time in Uganda based on our traveling. As Neff mentioned, we were in Kenya for a week. We did plan to go to Rwanda. Unfortunately, travel plans or discrepancies didn't work out with that, which is fine. We do look to be back on the continent as soon as possible, so it's all good. But we're also grateful to really spend as much time as possible in Uganda and really be in the experience. So
yeah. To the third segment of this particular sit-down video podcast episode, and I hope you are enjoying, I hope you are taking notes, and I hope you are also following along the conversation. The next question I have for you guys, it's all about the cost of living. There are a lot of things in the middle there, but let's go to the cost of living, because I think it's one of the key important things that we have to talk about, especially being people who lives in the States and have come over, to this country with a completely different exchange of money, completely different everything. So let's start from the hotels. Yes.
Well, we booked our hotels from the time that we booked our plane tickets. So we started, research happened long before that. And I had a few criterias because, as I said, I was in recovery from some months ago in surgery. So I needed to be able to continue my physical therapy. My doctor said, be sure that you have, a fitness center to be able to do your stretching and you keep yourself agile and work so that you don't stiffen up and things like that, to continue my healing process, as well as the heat therapy by having a sauna and or steam room or both. So that was a criteria. So we booked hotels according to that, in addition to in our budget. So we had a figure in mind that we wanted to maintain and keep our budget, because we're literally paying everything about our stay, right? Every week, foods, transportation. It's a little bit different than when you are at home per se, and you can just go about, you have your refrigerator, things like that. There wasn't cooking facilities at all the places that we stayed. There was only kitchen facilities at the very first place we stayed for the first week. And we booked that place because on booking.com it says that this place is owned and operated and run by Ugandans. So when you support this business, right?
Yes.
So when you support this business, you support local Ugandans. So we thought that was a great opportunity to be there first.
Yes.
It didn't have a fitness center and it didn't have a sauna, but they had very big showers and bathtubs. So we said, okay, I'll do the compromise in that, and we'll stay here, just so that we could be with Ugandans and actually learn about Uganda. And I'm sure they'll be good for the relationship. The place was very homely, very, they made breakfast every day. The staff was amazing. That was a great introduction to the continent. We moved to a resort style stay at Dolphin Hotel.
Yeah, Dolphin Suites.
Dolphin Suites was very good. The food was very good. The grounds was very good. They have a swimming pool. They have fitness center and the steam room. And it was very good. The staff was absolutely amazing. The hotel rooms, everything was between, I would say, so the first place we stayed was $25 to $30 a day. When we moved to Dolphin Suites, their rooms were $50 to $62 a day. And we booked the weekly package. So usually when you book weekly packages on booking.coms and Travelocity and Expedia and things like that, you get a percentage off when you book so many days.
Yeah.
So we were getting, like freaking flyer miles kind of thing with every booking that we were doing for the amount of days we were booking. We were booking a week, 8, 9, 10, 12 days at a time in different locations. And we were getting discounts with that process. That's still considered high for Uganda. There's Airbnbs that you can stay at for $20, $25, $30 a day, $35 a day. But we wanted to stay at a hotel because we wanted to have gym facilities on site,
and saunas,
steams and saunas. And we wanted to make sure that the place also had one more criteria, which was breakfast every day.
Yeah.
So that at least we can plan in on a budget because we're traveling within our budget, on a budget.
Yes.
And we wanted to be able to make sure at the very least, we get our buffet style breakfast meals, and we could tuck a fruit or two, save it for later, and we won't have to buy so much. So we can pick up maybe lunch, pick up dinner, and snacks and water kind of thing. Yeah. But we would always have breakfast first thing in the morning, which is always an amazing breakfast. Yeah. Freshly cooked every day, fresh fruits, fresh vegetables, and the foods is just amazing.
Yeah. Hesiri, what can you comment on the food? Hesiri, Nefra has talked a little bit about it, but what can you comment more about food?
The food, that was like one of the great parts about it was like, we already knew what to expect, based like, following your journey and other folks we follow on TikTok that are out here. Like there's organic food, access to organic vegetables and fruits. So we were really excited about that as we're on a particular journey back in the States anyway. We again with the fitness center, we wanted to keep fit. We've been working on that past couple months, and then we want to make sure our diet that works in tandem for better health. So we want to make sure we got access to that. So that's been the best part. We said we haven't really had a real pineapple until we come to Uganda. So the fruits are they're sweet and delicious and natural. You taste all the juices, all the natural sugars of the fruit itself.
Wow!
Just made it taste it's so amazing. And then we got to experience the different types of foods like the Rolex, which is our favorite breakfast, lunch, and dinner. We don't care.
You love Rolex.
Rolex is the best. Rolex being was it the breakfast favorite here in Uganda?
You had Luombo.
You had Luombo
and Matoke. Yes.
So the only thing that you guys, I think you haven't had it is pilau.
Pilau. Yeah, we were trying to find pilau. Based on what we've seen on Google. Yeah. We haven't seen none of that pilau. So
we haven't seen no Ugandan pilau.
Yeah, with the meats and the vegetables all mixed in together. So we haven't seen that yet, but hopefully we'll be able to see that one day.
Yeah. What about the other thing I would love to talk about before we can go for the next break? It is travel. Can you break down for us how much approximately you have been spending on travel? Or had you planned already that when you come in Kampala, we are going to do this and that and that? And generally, what was experiencing with the taxi, the safe border taxi, the borders themselves, and all that?
Something I actually have not done a full budget as to how much we have spent, but I know that we had intended on spending forward. We're basically spending from our, as we get our deposits from our payroll and things like that, we're using that money to pay forward for the hotel. So we were able to book our hotel, secure them with the car, but we didn't have to pay in advance. Yeah. You pay at the end of your booking. Yeah. So you can book the room, you confirm the room, you pay, you keep a card on file that secures your reservation, and then you pay at the end of the reservation stay. Some hotels allow you to do that. Some hotels want to be paid up front. Some will take a day or two, and then you pay the rest as you go on. It's not exactly the same as it is in the States. Yeah. So you really want to know what those regulations are ahead of time.
Each hotel has been different.
Yeah, because each hotel has been slightly different for some reason. There's not a real consistent line on that. Yeah. Yeah, but I would say about $3,500.
$3,500
outside of
dollars.
$3,500.
350 USD.
No, 3,500
USD.
because you got to go outside of our airfare. So that doesn't include our airfare. So if you're saying hotel room, hotel stays, 500, 600, 700, and then you're saying meals at the end, and because you're able to eat at the hotels because they have all of the hotels have restaurants inside, which is a good thing. You don't have to go out looking for food. They have very robust menus with a very wide array of different foods. Dolphin has Italian, Indian, pizzas, all of the Ugandan meals, and a wide array of other varieties as well: seafood, chicken, beef, etc. And it's a very, very robust menu, and it's satisfying. They even had Chinese food. We didn't have the Chinese food on the menu, but they also had Chinese food. So without spending of our meals and transportation, I think we spent about, that's all inclusive. I would say about $3,500.
All inclusive,
about
everything that for the month,
booking and food and travel experience overall.
3,500 USD.
We used we've gotten a comfortable closer to the end of the trip with Boda Boda riding.
Yes, I got very comfortable with the Boda Boda.
Yes, we've been traveling here and there for a bit. We recognize how important it is as a mode of travel to get to where we need to get faster. Compared to a car. We did a lot of car taxis at first, but when we was like, okay, we need to really get here.
The border is
get on the border. Yes, and we also went to Kenya. We took the bus out to Kenya. We had fees that we didn't, we did right into our budget, which were the PCR test. They were $80 twice, so $80 once, and then $90 a second time. So that counts. And then we also bussed out, which was additional $80 to bus out, and to come back we took plane, which was for $500 to come back. So that was about $1,700 of fees that we hadn't counted initially.
Right.
But they showed up, and we also did some shopping. We got some outfits, some clothes, some gifts. And and we tipped. In America, you tip your waitresses. You don't just dismiss them. So we tipped out. Since we've been here, we probably tipped out about 300 USD.
Probably, yeah.
Between all the places that we've stayed, the restaurants, the housekeepers, the taxis, because in America is a tipping culture. To tip your waitresses, so we wanted to treat our people right. We know that a lot of the people who are work wait staff and hospitality staff, many of them are students. Studying, many of them are supporting families. So they provide us good service. We use SendWave, send it directly to them directly.
Mobile number. Yes. We have changed locations, as you see going on over here. It's actually night, but we had to finish this episode with you. I want to right now go into almost the last questions. The first thing I want to ask you about is it is about medical or treatment. I know you haven't experienced the hospital one-on-one with a doctor or nurse, but how has been your experience, for example, with pharmacies and also with any other interaction you have had dealing with medical?
Well, for me, I was having some feminine problems. I was here for a month, so those women things. So I needed some pain meds, and then I also had what do you call it?
The painkillers.
The painkillers. I forgot the name of them, but they were very
I'll pop
good.
them on screen. I will pop them on screen.
And then I went to get something for constipation. And I went to another pharmacy for that. And that happens to me in general, not because I was here, but that happens to me in my real life. On a general basis, I take something as a flush. I do a detox. I do flushes on a regular basis. So I went by the pharmacy for that. That was a different pharmacy. So I think I visited pharmacies about 3 times since I've been here.
I think about 3 times.
Very efficient.
How was the one-on-one with pharmacists there?
No, they were great. They were very good.
Yeah, they were
very
awesome.
thorough.
Explaining to you things. Were they good at explaining using of drugs?
Yes.
And what about the cost? What was the cost? Okay, was it good? For example, that circuit, the second place I think where we did get it, it was 50,000. 50,000 is about, say, let me say, about 10, 12.
Yeah.
About 10, 12 USD. How was that price to you compared to where, you come from in the States, if you usually get such painkillers or such medication?
No, the pain meds were very, very good. Better than the stuff that I've had in the past. And it didn't taste horrible, which was amazing. It didn't taste bad. It worked fast. It was comparable to something that I usually use called an arthritic BC powder. So when I explained them and I showed them the box, they were like, okay, we don't have that, but this is what we have that's very similar. It's an anti-inflammatory, it's for muscle relaxing, pain, and things like that.
Yeah.
So they gave me that. That was great. The liquid for constipation that I drank is comparable to like a milk of magnesia or like a Pepto-Bismol kind of thing. Maybe milk of magnesia, citric magnesia. It's a citric magnesia, something they give you in the States. And I think it's magnesium, it's like liquid magnesium or something like that. You drink it and then it makes you, like pass after about 3 to 6 hours. So this was amazing. It's better than anything I've ever experienced. And it doesn't taste nasty either, which I love it. Cost was great. It was comparable. The pain meds were cheaper than I normally get the BC powders. But
like how much are the BC powders?
The BC powders in the US for a 50 box was about $24.
Ooh, 24. Okay.
24
yeah,
USD.
Very, very absolutely.
This
true.
box had 12 and it was $4 and some change.
About $4. Okay. So Hesiri, what was your experience when you went to test and fly? Because you guys, when you are moving to Nairobi, you needed negative PCR test. How was the experience there? How did you find the medical stuff there? And also, how did you find the cost of the PCR?
Yes. So that was just my own medical experience was with having to do the PCR test. So we needed traveling from Uganda to Kenya, you still needed a PCR test to travel in between, and we took a bus, as Neff mentioned earlier, as far as the experience with the staff, it was pretty good. The doctor himself was very, very easygoing. The process didn't take long. Of course, for those that know like how the PCR was in the beginning versus the now, it definitely was very more fluid and easygoing, and it was more of a tickle than anything else. So that was good. And they also had both options between I think it was between mouth swab and nose swab. Yes, so you had those options, and everyone was very, very easygoing and flexible. The only thing is, so for me in the States, since with my work insurance, is generally we don't have to pay for the PCR test. So that was the only thing was that we did have to pay, and I think it was $40 USD per person. So that was the only thing that was kind of like and what we found so far, because we were concerned about coming back as well, if we need to take it or not, what the costs were. But that's the one difference is that thankfully because of my insurance, but in the US, I generally don't have to pay for the test. So that was the only thing. But other than that, dealing with the staff and everything was very fluid, very smooth, and it didn't take long at all. We got our results in a few hours. 3 hours. They sent us, officially stamped from the Ministry of Health, like really official process. And they sent us documents and made it really easy.
Yeah, email and WhatsApp.
Email and WhatsApp, a PDF of it.
That was so good.
Yes.
So as we come to the last part of this segment, this is going to be all about your interaction with the locals generally, and you shall just give me the advantages and the disadvantages and the different ways you have had to to go over different things you have had with certain people, where it went good, where it went bad, where you had to stand in yourself. In just a few minutes. Yes.
We had, I would say that most of our experience, 95% of our experience were exceptionally and very good. I will say that if you're a people person, you like to talk, you like to communicate, you like to laugh, you like to be folksy with people. It will come natural to you. It comes natural to me. As far as I'm concerned, I don't care where you are. If you're African, you my brother, you my sister. Right, exactly. And it's like we've been family all the time. Let me just pull your coat to something. Here, let me tell you something. Let me point something out for you. So that's how I've handled situations that there was a slight friction or what I would call misunderstanding and communication. Cultural things, what we expect as a common knowledge because of our cultural experience in the U.S. is a little bit different. And the United States has its culture. And it's several types of subcultures, as well as Uganda has its cultures and several subcultures. So that's one thing that I found, that there was a communication barrier every now and again. There was a miscommunication or misunderstanding. Like I would say something one way and they understood it another way.
Right.
But I'm an academic. I teach. I'm a college professor. I teach adult learners, a workforce development coach, and leadership coach in my real life. So communicating and being able to be patient about it is a part of my natural way of being. So I believe that, for instance, there was a situation where in the States, if you get tea to your table, if you pay for tea, you order tea with your meal, they'll keep topping you off for tea and coffee. That's something
tea and coffee, like the basics.
Even the fountain drinks, like if you get like Coke, Sprites and ginger ales and things, that they come from a fountain, and you get those things, they'll just keep topping you off, and it's free for the refills. Here, every time she came back and asked me if I would like some more tea when she was topping me off, that's a cost. And I didn't understand that. So I paid for it, it's fine. I used the service, I paid for it. So that's something that you want to be conscious of. Those things like that, little nuances, they could be different. I was explaining to one of the gentlemen at the hotel that, we booked the hotel. The hotel didn't have the things that we wanted. So I'm not asking for anything. But I'm saying that as a customer service, you're not providing me with the things that you said you had. And in advertising and marketing, that's important. I'm all the way in the States. I'm booking a hotel. I'm expected for it to have a gym, a sauna, free breakfast, and everything to be working according to what you said on the website. So I got here and nothing is working. That's not happening. So everything else was fine. Right. They changed our room. And then he said, well, I did you the favor of changing your room to give you that accommodation, but maybe you should give me a little something on the price. I was like, but wait, did you understand what I meant? Like, babe, I don't think you understand what I mean. You gave me the accommodation by quote unquote upgrading my room, but you really didn't upgrade my room. You just gave me a different room with a better window, which is fine because that's what I booked on the website, was a room with a window. And you didn't give me that the first time, so you did actually upgrade me. It's a nicer looking room. It has nicer, views, the flowers or the ambiance about the room or what have you is a little bit better than the first room, but you didn't actually give me anything. So actually I shouldn't give you any more money. I said, well, in the States, if this had happened, a hotel had booked me and I had expected to get this, and I've come to you and had this conversation 3 times, and you weren't able to appease my needs. I will tell you what it would look like in the States is my husband and I would have been given passes to some spa, first grade spa in the neighborhood within foot walking distance, or taxi vouchers to go from the hotel to every day. And I would have been given meal tickets to eat free at the dining room whenever I wanted to appease us as a customer service thing. So that's something that was a little bit of a difference in understanding the measures of customer service, and that, you're not really doing me a favor by upgrading my room and giving me what I already booked in the first place. So I don't know that we came to a clear understanding on that. I'm not so sure that we did. But it was a nice conversation to be having. He was a sweet young man. And I'm sure he did the best that he felt like he was doing the best that he could by his job and trying to understand customer service. But when we left, the manager came out to talk to us about it, and I had to explain. I also had an issue with the mattress. Woo, mattresses. I'm gonna really put a push pin on this for you. If you're not accustomed to very, very firm mattresses, you want to bring you a comforter or order a comforter when you get here to put on your bed, because I have an issue. Our mattress is semi-firm at the house, at our home in the States. So firm mattresses, I had a lot of trouble with that. So I would use pillows. They would give me extra pillows. One of the hotels had to do extra padding on my bed. So just being in communication is very important. Just be in communication, be willing to be patient, and be in an exploration with the people that you're talking to, because oftentimes they're not aware of these subtle nuances, and there's no need to be snappy, reactionary, and like forceful in that way, because they're very open to, well, what is it that we can do to help? How can we support? Or is there anything that we can do? Oftentimes I'll ask, well, what did you think? Nairobi, I sent back a margarita, and she said, well, you sent back the margarita. What you didn't like it? I said, well, to be honest, I didn't like it. It didn't taste good. I didn't say anything, but she came back to me because a full alcoholic drink was on my plate and I hadn't touched it. So she wanted to know why. So she made it. So she came over to the table. She actually had just gotten a promotion to become a supervisor. We paid for it. Everything was fine. She just wanted to know feedback on the drink. I said, well, actually, it wasn't sweet enough. There should be some sweet syrup. The recipe for a margarita. She said, oh, I put this. I said, but it was missing the sour sweet. Right, it tasted, it was hard. I don't like the hard liquor taste. My drinks, I don't like hard liquor taste. So I was sitting in the back. So she was willing to be with the feedback. She actually came and invited it. So, and also because she had just gotten the promotion as a supervisor, so she wanted to know, well, what do my customers think? You know,
she was willing to correct it next time. She was like, next time you come,
make sure you order it again when I'm there, and I'll give it to you. Yeah. So that was great. We got our manicure done in Dolphin. And they had a great. Their place was amazing.
No, that wasn't
Dolphin. That was in Nairobi. That was in Nairobi mistake. Yes, but that was really great. Pastry shop. The pastry chef was building on site.
And I say just to speak to add to what you were speaking about, the communication aspect is keeping in mind when you're traveling to another country and another space is like not to necessarily bring you and what you're used to that particular space, especially if you're just visiting, to be the visitor and be present and, you know, with those cultures and cultural nuances that may be different from what you're used to, right? You know, we grew up in the States. She's traveled around quite a bit in her travels, but we grew up in the States generally, and there's certain cultural nuances and things that we're particularly used to that may be a little different here or in other parts of Africa or what have you. So it's really important to be present. Like, okay, this is not what I'm used to. That's okay. Let me see how I can be present to be used to it, so I can make the stay a comfortable stay and also make a win-win with the folks that are doing it, because they're used to these things because this is part of their culture. So you can't come with like, why, like you're saying, no, like being real, why are you not doing this? Why are you not doing it? They're not doing it because that's not how they do it here.
That's not how they do it.
So you need to be present with how things are done where you are. So that you can be well accustomed and make your stay more enjoyable. Right. You know, people leave weird reviews on certain places because they're coming with their knowing of where they're coming from. You need to be present to where you are if you're going to travel to another space. And that's really what we made this trip about, was being present where we are, leaving whatever we've known from the U.S. behind, leaving it as a pushpin of like, oh, this is why XXX. But really being with the space of where we are, understand the cultural nuances, because to be with it is to understand the people, to understand the language. We've been doing our best to speak Lugandan the whole trip and be with the language, you know, because we know, yes, exactly. Like we feel it's very important to have that aspect, you know, be ingrained into the travel versus like I'm on vacation, I can be my US self here and then not even bother with the locals or bother with the experience. And I think that takes away from not only your experience but also from other people experiencing you and having a good time versus, oh, these Americans or whatever the conversation may be when you leave. Like leave the world better than you found it. You know, wherever you go is it's a message we would personally impart. Right. And I can speak on behalf of my wife because we have this conversation all the time. To leave wherever you are better than you found it. And that can be in your experiences and everything. So that's one to speak on that specifically because I think it's important.
Okay. This finally brings me to the end of today's episode. I hope that you have learned a thing or two. I also hope that this particular episode is one of those episodes that inspires you not only to check yourself, but also to align other things in your life, because I always intend, you know, to get such important people, bring them on the channel. We discuss these things in their own voices, in their own consciousness, in their own selves, so that it's not only me speaking, but there are also other people, you know, speaking and giving their own perspective about life. Yes, so I want to thank you very much, guys, for giving me the opportunity, you know, to be on the channel and giving us all this information with all those people. Yes. Thank you. I appreciate you from the bottom of my heart. Do you have any last message you would love to tell them? Any last message?
Well, we thank you for receiving us, Uganda.
Yes. Yeah.
So thank you for receiving us. We've had an incredible trip. We look forward to our next trip. We thank you as well, Tanya, who have been an incredible host for our stay here. This trip would not have been what it has been without you.
Oh,
truly.
I'm so glad.
we appreciate your embrace. We appreciate your willingness to be friendly, to be to explore with us as well. We had no idea you were having so many firsts, that we were experiencing this space too first. So that was actually like a beautiful relationship-based friendship that we get to have so many experiences together and build like true friendship all the way through this Ethernet, cyber, whatever, YouTube, the nets. So we really appreciate you. You've been very instrumental in helping
I'm
us.
so glad about that.
You're such an inspiration.
I'm so glad about that. Hey Siri, do you have any last message for those people?
I mean, really, like just to further to thank you. We're about to because it's important, like in this journey, like we're the type that we'll ride and just do whatever needs to be done. But it's been helpful to have somebody with your support along this whole journey. So we would just say like that, like make sure you have trusted folks around you to do to go through these journeys that you're doing wherever you're traveling, and then really make it a full, robust experience. So. Again, with your support, we were able to do that, so we appreciate it. We got the most out of Uganda and then some from being in this time together with us, just traveling. So, and just the encouragement to, if you want to go out and travel somewhere, just create the space to go. Like we said, we went on a budget with that intention, right? Because like I said, we don't have to go crazy, but we want to make the experiences and take the times you have now instead of living in any what ifs. And create your own experiences. Make the way, because this is your time is now.
Okay.
So
thank you very much, you guys, for watching, especially those who have watched to this particular moment in time. Don't forget to subscribe, to like, to comment. I want to thank you very, very absolutely much to every person who's supporting me on this journey as a person. Thank you. We finally hit 10,000 subscribers. Can you imagine? 10,000 subscribers. I want to thank you. I appreciate you a lot. Yes. The best is yet to come. Maybe the message I'll leave you, it is all about gratitude. Be grateful for what you have, where you are, what you plan to do, people in your circle, because the more you're grateful, the more the universe, gives you more and more and more.
Absolutely.
So, Tanya Lishai switching out. Bye for now.